What's up, nerds? Welcome to Rebel Base. Cameron and I are here to discuss some fan questions about our knowledge on Star Wars. And usually Brian would be joining us too, but he's sleeping because he works late. But we've asked the community to give us questions so we could get this show rolling. And our first question is actually a pretty long discussion that we could probably have a whole podcast about, but how would we rewrite the prequels? I've thought about this a lot, like over the years, but never actually really had a discussion with someone about this. But Cameron, we'll start with you, and we'll just go from there.
All right. Well, the question specifically was rewrite?
Like, how would you redo the prequels?
Okay, so I was going to say redo. I feel like writing, I don't really, honestly, when it came to story and stuff, nothing really needs to be changed. Like, in the first two, I thought the political stuff was actually interesting. I just thought if it was handled better, it could have been much more interesting. And the third one had the best story out of the first three. I seriously think the things that just needed to be changed were just things that need to be done better. Like, and recasting, for sure. Recasting. Have someone better than Hayden Christensen. Sorry, Hayden Christensen, if you're listening to this.
Fun fact, Leonardo DiCaprio turned down the role of Anakin Skywalker.
I remember hearing about that, too. Good thing, well, actually, if he was in this movie, it probably would have been way better. But Hayden Christensen, I don't know, he just wasn't good, or maybe it was just George Lucas's direction, because he never felt like Anakin Skywalker to me. He just felt like a complete dork and tool in this movie. Ewan McGregor was great though, and Samuel Jackson's as good as he can be, and pretty much every other casting choice was good. It just was Hayden Christensen was the one who stuck out, because he's supposed to embody this character who is iconic in the books, but then he just wasn't in the movie. And I don't know, a few other things I can think of. I guess just the overuse of CG should have been changed, and they should have just done the whole practical thing. It seems like they had the budget big enough to do it. Why didn't they? And I think the biggest thing that screams out to me is I think lightsaber battles should have been changed to be a different way. Because in the old movies, they did it a specific way, because, essentially, lightsaber battles are sword fighting. That's what it is. And there are two things when it comes to sword fighting, and that is one person is advancing and one person is defending. And that's what the old movies felt like. Luke would advance, Darth Vader would defend, and then he would advance, and Luke would defend. In the new movies, it was like both of them just went together, and they were just trying to hit each other's lightsabers, and that's it. They weren't actually trying to hit each other. It was supposed to be a lethal thing, and it never felt that way. It always, like a lot of people have said, it just feels like a choreographed dance where they're just trying to look cool for the camera and for the audience to go, yeah, that's cool, when it wasn't. I don't know, that's what I'm going to say right now. What do you got to say?
In terms of how the flow of the prequels went, I agree with you. I don't think the casting was an issue, except for Hayden Christensen as Anakin, but a lot of that I kind of just, everybody always harps on him being bad, but I kind of put it more towards direction than actual acting, because I've always heard that in other things he's really semi-decent at acting.
I've never seen him in anything good, so I don't really have anything to say.
I don't really know. I've never seen him in anything else other than these, in that stupid show he was on before he got this role that my cousin used to watch all the time. But in terms of the story, as much as I like Christopher Lee, I kind of think Count Dooku was a worthless character. Yeah. I think the movies should have gone, Darth Maul could have filled that role easily. I feel like Darth Maul could have filled the Count Dooku role without killing him off in the first one. We just placed Darth Maul right there.
Yeah.
And then Anakin should have fought Darth Maul and killed him partway through episode 3, kind of like they did with Dooku.
Yeah.
I always thought that should have been like the thing, because Darth Maul is was like a really cool character. He was the best part of Phantom Menace, like
Hands down.
and you know, I kind of feel like, I mean, this is another obvious one, but like Jar Jar, like the biggest thing about Jar Jar is you can't understand him. You can't understand him. He's dumb. Like he's dumb. Like not just like, oh, he's a dumb character because he acts stupid. Like he's dumb. Like I feel like he could have been, if he was handled differently, he could have been okay. I mean, I understand they put him in there for like kids and stuff and whatever, but like still, he's dumb. And I just feel like they needed to change the Phantom Menace to where it actually has sticking points for the future episodes, because other than finding Anakin, it really doesn't have anything to do with the other ones. That's why everybody says when you watch the Machete Order, you don't need to watch episode 1.
Maybe like another like tiny thing that episode 1 hints at is just the introduction of the Emperor.
Yeah.
Barely. That's really it. Nothing else about episode 1 is really that important to the entirety of the Star Wars mythos at all.
Yeah. I mean, you have characters in there that don't even get mentioned for the rest of, even up till now through episode 7. Like after episode 1, Qui-Gon is like really never mentioned again until the end of episode 3, and then never in the original trilogy. Like stuff like that. And like, I don't know, there's bits and pieces that are off, like that need tweaked. Like you were saying, like the political stuff could have been tweaked to be interesting.
Yeah.
And like I just kind of feel like the CG effects, even like the clone troopers, like they all feel real fake. And like the way they handled Boba Fett could have been changed. Like that whole Boba Fett thing he didn't even need to be in the movie. Boba Fett did not need to be in the movie.
Yeah, I guess so. To be honest, though, I thought it would have been cool. Thinking about it, talking about it now, it's like I guess I feel like a lot of things that he did, he was like there was good ideas there. He just didn't execute them right. Like I think the whole Jango Fett Boba Fett thing didn't need to happen the way it happened. I feel like it would have been better if anything, it would have just been like mentioned in passing, or you would have seen Obi-Wan walk by the kid who would become Boba Fett, and they would have given us like some little subtle reference to it or something like that, rather than having that whole Jango Fett Boba Fett thing, which ultimately was pointless. I mean, when I really think about it, Jango's role in the movie was like what? What did he even do? What was his point?
I mean, at the beginning,
he was hired to assassinate what? Padme?
Yeah, but they didn't even use him. It was that other bounty hunter that he hired.
It's like why? Why did you even do that? But and then also going back to the first episode 1, it's like instead of the oversaturation of CG, it's like why not instead of having all these robots and stuff, which is emotionless and you don't feel like any tension whatsoever. You never feel like the stakes are really high because you just don't give a fuck about pencil thin robots walking down a field that look fake as shit, by the way. But I just feel like they could have done that different. I feel like it would have been cooler if the movie was more about the Jedi and the political in like the whole uprising of what the dark side and what was going to be them taking over the Republic to make it the Empire. I thought that would have been cooler instead of having this whole robot alliance coming out of nowhere virtually, and this being the start of like this big war or whatever. I just feel like it could have been a more interesting, cooler movie if they just didn't have that whole robot bullshit. Just like in the second one too. It's like I feel like the whole robot thing was completely pointless. Actually, I just feel like if they cut that out, it would have been better. And if they would have had some different kind of enemy to fill that void, I guess. But altogether, it's like I feel like the whole robot thing was really just like unneeded, and I never really cared about it that much because, yeah, I guess you knew the clones were coming, but even though that kind of didn't make sense when it came to the old films anyway. It's like, I guess they give you that impression that in the old films too, they're supposed to be clones,
Yeah.
but it doesn't feel that way because you look at the clones, and I mean, you look at the stormtroopers and you see like their different heights and stuff, so it's like, it seems like by the time it got to the Empire in the old films, either it had changed or their cloning formula fucked up a little bit, and some stormtroopers are taller than other ones. It's just like, it doesn't really add up.
Yeah.
That's why I just really think the whole idea of the prequels is like unnecessary, or just like a lot of things that they did were just not needed. And one of the biggest things I can say is I really think C-3PO and R2-D2 did not need to be there at all.
No.
They were completely pointless because
not only were they
at the end of the
pointless,
third one, they're just like, oh, wipe their memory. So why the fuck were they in 3 movies? There was no point for them to be there at all.
and like not only were they worthless, but they were doing things that they would have never done in the original trilogy,
Yeah,
like R2-D2 flying, or like C-3PO. The worst part in Attack of the Clones is when C-3PO
Gets his head knocked off.
No, he's hanging on to something.
When his arms can't do that.
Yeah, when his arms can't even go that high. It's obvious they can't go that high. Because, like, there's these little, like, I guess they would be, like, hydraulic things where he can move his arms, I guess is what they're supposed to be. Where, like, this is probably the farthest he can raise his arms. Like, and they have him going like this and, like, kicking and stuff because he can do that. Like, it's stupid.
It's very dumb.
It's very stupid. And like R2-D2 can like fly and like move around and stuff, and like he wasn't doing that in the original trilogy. There's just like, I don't know. And like the other thing, the last thing I kind of want to talk about is like in the original trilogy, it feels like the world is lived in. It feels like everything is like, it has this certain feel to it where like especially in episode 1, everything feels like everything's all shiny and new, and the world just kind of doesn't feel like the original trilogy. It feels like it's, I don't really know how to describe it. It just feels like a different set of movies with the same types of characters in it, as opposed to like, because you look at the way like even the Death Star. Let's get away from the rebels and stuff, because they're scrapping together parts to build their stuff and whatever. But you look at the Empire and the Death Star and the TIE fighters and stuff. They all have that specific look. Like it's a look that the original trilogy gives you. And you go and look at like the prequel movies, like even the Trade Federation ships, they look different. Like they don't look like they would fit in like the same type of universe that the Death Star and the TIE fighters fit in. Or you look at the droid army, they don't look like they fit. Or, you look at the ships, like the ships that the Naboo starfighters are fighting. Like they don't look like they belong. Like if you were to set those ships next to like the Death Star and the TIE fighters and stuff, they don't look like they belong in the same movie, like the same set of movies. Like it's...
Well, that was always one thing I remember thinking while watching the prequels, is that, which is something that a lot of prequels would do, or I don't know, TV shows, some certain movies do, where it's like they set up a world with these movies, with a certain movie, and it was made in a certain time, so things look a certain way. Then they try and make a movie or a TV show or something like that takes place before that, but these things look like more advanced than the things that were supposed to be in the future do.
Yeah,
and that was
exactly.
the biggest thing that stuck out to me about the prequels, is that the ships and the ATST walkers, or I think it was ATFT in the new ones, but like the ships and the ATFTs and everything like that looks like way more advanced than it did when you came to the actual future of Star Wars, which was supposed to be with the original films. And it just felt really weird and out of place. So it's like, ever since the Empire took over, they decided to take a huge step backwards in technology. It's like, well, that doesn't make any... Like, what the hell was that?
Yeah. and it's really weird in the way like I don't know. I just feel like it's not to say like I mean I don't really enjoy the prequels all that much. Like there's bits and pieces that are like, oh my gosh, there's a genius part, and then it goes on to like Jar Jar licking a plate with his dumb tongue or whatever, and you know that stupid. Gosh, every time I think of freaking Jar Jar, all I think of him is slurping up apples and Liam Neeson catching his tongue and telling him to stop doing it, and that's like all I can think about when I think of Jar Jar. So stupid, but like I don't know, and like that first episode 1 starts out so good. Like I really like like you see them walk in to the room and you see the protocol droid like asking them if they want something to drink or whatever, and they're talking, and like that whole escape scene is so good, and then after that it's just like
Yep.
it's like that's right, I did that, I said but I don't know. You have anything else about these prequels that
I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like I feel like I have to watch them, and every like second that would go by, I would think of something that I'd want to change.
yeah
Which should be coming sometime.
yeah movie commentaries are
We
coming.
plan on doing movie commentaries for all the Star Wars films.
Yeah.
I mean, Episode 7 is supposed to come out in April. We could even do that.
Yeah.
We'll edit over that.
Almost started a dance party.
Good song.
Anyways, that's going to be our episode of Rebel Base. Remember, you can find all of our content on digitalnerdadvocates.com. You can find all of our Star Wars content, digitalnerdadvocates.com/Rebel Base. There is going to be more coming in the future. Make sure you stay tuned for that. This show, I think we're planning it every Saturday, so make sure you check back for that. Like, subscribe, and share our channel and this video. And until next week, may the Force be with you. See what I did there? Ha! Ha!